Welcome back to another episode of the Successful Driver Podcast here in the Clear Simple Used Truck Buying Studio. And really excited today talking to Daniel and Phyllis Snow Trucking. Guys, thank you for spending some time with us today. Yeah, we're really excited to talk to you.
Very much.
Yeah. Hey, so, we like to ask this kind of question off the top. You just want to know a little bit about how you guys got into the trucking industry, your story here. In the trucking industry. So just fire away. Really curious to know a little bit about you guys and your story.
All right. Well, I started May 8th. It'll be 42 years ago.
Wow. Congrats.
When that's a long time. That kind of tells how old you are. But I started with my brother. He was a truck driver, owner, operator, a time or two, but most of the time he drove someone else's lease trucks. And I started out with him in 1980, and we run bananas off the Gulf Coast north and Iowa beef south usually. Not much different than Phyllis cut her teeth on, because when she started, we was pulling a bull rack then. And so she cut her teeth pulling loads of bulls. So they rock and sway about as much as that meat did. So both of us pretty much cut our teeth in hard ways, but different ways. So I started with my brother and run whenever I could. I was still too young to drive full time then, but went with him all I could. He was my hero. And I started in a 1977 cab over Freightliner. The 40-foot trailers had just came out, and we thought we was big dogs. Now, if we seen anything as big as what we drive now, probably just passed out. But it was different. So while the kids were growing up, I switched over to hot shotting and done a lot of local stuff, and worked in a factory in town and hot shotted and run weekend stuff. And Phyllis would go with me whenever she could. I took the kids with me about all the time. All 5 kids.
Oh my.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Oh my.
I look like a mother duck, and all 5 of them behind me. That's a good man now.
It made an interesting beginning. I'm telling you, these stories we have, they can't be made up. They're too wild to be made up. So anyway, I done a lot of hot shotting, and as time went by, when our youngest boy turned 18, Phyllis come home one evening and said, she was a manager with Walmart. And they said, well, they told me today I'm going to have to transfer. And I said, well, how are you going to do that? And she said, well, I don't plan on it. So she said, I asked her, what do you want to do? She said, I want to go trucking. So I said, well, okay, I'm leaving tomorrow. So she had her bag packed and ready to go. And she always liked going, I mean, it wasn't like she didn't like it, but never even considered her driving. She drove the last hot shot rig we had was a really super nice rig. And she drove it a little bit empty, but she never pulled a load with it. Well, we'd been out on the road about 2 weeks, and was going across Oklahoma. And I remember it like it was yesterday. She looked over at me. She said, well, I'm not doing my part. And I said, well, hey, you're on vacation. I thought she was on vacation. She said, I'm not doing my part. And I said, well, you're on vacation, don't worry about it. Kick back and just enjoy the ride. And she said, oh, no. She said, I got to learn to drive if I'm going to be out here. I said, well, what do you mean you're going to be out here? And she said, well, I'm going to be a trucker. I said, oh, Lord, I had to pray a lot about it. I'm telling you. Just less than 5 foot tall. It was just something that seemed like would be impossible, especially pulling a bull rack. And I mean, even the baby calves was bigger than she was, much less about the bulls. So it did take a while to get her used to it. I would slip seat. I'd step out and let her step in and just steer, set the cruise, and she got used to that. And of course, you're taking a city girl that moved into a country setting, and now she's left her comfortable part of the city, that kind of life, to step into this truck driver world. And, I can only imagine. I grew up into it. Mentally, I grew up into it. So I really, really wasn't much change for me. But for her, it was a super big change. But, her dedication was why she was successful. She kept trying and trying and trying. And every time she would conquer something, we would move on to something else. So
you never tell him you don't want to do something. I hated those tow booths when I first started out. And he says, well, if you say you don't want it, you got to do it.
Yeah,
I'm like,
because it's a fear. It was a fear. You have to overcome those fears. And she did. She never told me no. I'm not doing that or nothing. I would kind of get wore down teaching her things. So our youngest boy Jamie was in the trucking business with us at that time, and so he would teach her for a while. She always drove our truck. She didn't really like to drive his, but he would come over. I'd drive his truck while he, done some things teaching her, and it was really good for her because she could see the view of things from two different angles. So anyway, I know I'm dragging this out too much.
Oh, it's good.
Story. The longer I talk to you, the more I can rest. You make me go out there and polish some more.
we're trying to get the truck ready for mats.
She does about 90 polishing. And she's up on top of the level ago, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to get her down from there. So the only way to get her down is if I said, let me do that up there. So she had a harness on me and had a stick out there and whacked me every time I stopped moving my arm. So, she has become a very good truck driver. Probably the only weakness she has is backing, and she don't back very much. I do most of backing, but my vision has gotten weaker the older I get. So she'll usually spot me. Safety is what it's all about. What a parking lot or a dock well or going down a highway, it's safety is everything. So, she'll jump out there to spot me, and we don't use hand signs. We use our phones, and they don't speaker.
His is on speaker. I'm holding mine.
And she, navigates me, and I always tell her it's a success as long as we don't hit nothing.
He can put it anywhere. Let me tell you.
If I could see it, but since I can't see it, my depth perception I'm losing. So, it's teamwork. This is about safety. It's not about you're better than me or I'm better than you. It's safety.
And we all learn something every day. When you quit learning something, you need to get out of it.
For sure. Absolutely.
There's always something in life that you can learn.
So Phyllis, I got a question for you. I'm curious, what really made you, want to get into the trucking industry? What were the things that really just, you're kind of hearing it from his side. I want to hear it from you a little bit too. Just what ultimately, made you want to get into trucking?
I wanted to be with him. I mean, we are never apart hardly. Now.
Then
we were apart a lot then.
Yeah.
I wanted to share my life, our lives together. I wouldn't want, this is me though. I wouldn't want to be out there by myself. I just don't feel it's safe enough, but there is some women that wants to do it. So, that's great. They want to do it. But personally, if he wasn't out there, I wouldn't want to be out there.
I love that. I love that you guys are doing it together. I love it.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's very important that we try to be a godly Christian people.
You guys have been through some adversity recently. Phyllis, I'd love to hear, just kind of what happened.
Really, we had some stress in the trucking and then stuff around, and we got hit at San Antonio, and we were about this time that year, because we were trying to get ready for mats, and we had just put a new bumper on and went on one run, and that guy backed into us and just took the whole front end of our truck off. So with that and all the other stuff, it just too much stress.
Bills, just too much.
And I was healthy, never had a problem, no medicine. I walk every day. I walk about a mile or more. It just I eat healthy. So it was just something that God, it had to happen. It's a testimony for life.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God puts us through different things in life to be able to, talk to other people about it.
Mm-hmm.
So close to dying.
You don't realize everything that happens at the time, but when you start thinking back, wow, we got hit because I was going to have a heart attack, and God brought us home where I could have a doctor. And
they said if she had had that heart attack on the road, no way she could have lived through it.
So there you things in life like that. I mean, there's a lot of bad things that happen, but there's a reason that if you look for the good stuff out of it.
She would have had to have it in the parking lot of a hospital for them to save her. They done an excellent job, and here she is.
We're glad you're here, Phyllis. We're very glad you're here. And I'm glad to be talking to you guys. And you guys have had a lot of success out on the road. You've been through a lot, obviously. But I like to ask everybody when we do this show, what makes a successful truck driver in your opinion?
Well, having God at your heart and enjoying and appreciating what you do. I guess the number 4 thing would be manage your business. So if you manage your business and you make sure each load is profitable, this opinion of getting one good load somewhere and you have to take a sorry load back out.
A back load.
A back load. That don't work. It never has. It never will. Each load needs to stand on its own merits. When you we book our own loads. Phyllis books about 90% of them, and I help out if she's having trouble finding something. Not that I mean better. It's just that 4 eyes are better than 2. But you have to be smart about your management, and you can't stress that enough, because the very first thing of management is to know your cost. If you don't know your cost of operation, you need to stop whatever you're doing, get out a pencil and piece of paper, and go through some records and do some I guess analyzing would be the right word, but you have to come down to your cost of operation.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you make 2 lists. You make one list of variables and one list of fixed. The fixed don't change. You do it for a year, because that's what you do your insurance for, is a year, and your license is for a year. And you get your line of fixed cost, and then you go to your variable cost, which is fuel. So if you run more miles, that number goes up, but your income goes up. So your variables are going to be changing. Your fixed is not going to be. You have to come down to the bottom and get an average of your cost per mile, every mile. And, we've, back when we had a small fleet, just 7 trucks, but my youngest boy, Jamie, and myself spent a lot of time during those years analyzing costs. And we figured
he's a numbers person.
I love numbers and love to know, but everybody's got to know their cost of operation.
Sure.
Our cost of operation with a decent income is $1.26 a mile. Okay, so now that's got to float with this fuel prices.
Yeah,
that's with $3 fuel. So as the fuel prices go up, which they already passed $3, those numbers do have to change.
Right.
And if you go northeast, you got to figure on fuel being quite a bit higher. Mm-hmm. If you're Texas or Oklahoma or the South, but there's so many variables in figuring these things. It takes a lot of studying to be a good manager of a trucking business.
Yeah. Phyllis, it sounds like you kind of work the market here a little bit for you guys. Any tips for people, on working the spot market?
What we do is make sure that when we're going to get a load, we're going to have a load out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we picked a load up in Oklahoma, I mean, going to Oklahoma, it's very hard to get out of Oklahoma. Our freight is, but there's different places, different like flatbeds and reefers, and they do better than other places that we don't. So we always try to make sure that where we're going, the first load will have a reload.
How many loads out of that area?
Yeah.
So you're kind of always planning both legs.
Right.
That's kind of a key that you see is making sure you're getting both legs taken care of on the front end.
We don't like to set. If we're out there working, we'd rather be, getting a load and then unloading it and then reloading the same day is what we try to do and get somewhere else. I mean, we just don't, it just feels like wasted time when
but a lot of our truck has been built on
wasted time.
Well, it's not wasted then, but your point is a very good and true point. But we plan on what we need to do, and if she finds a load for today that's paying, $1.80 or $2, but then we're looking out that area for something higher than that, we will gladly set till the next day, pick up something
right
that's more profitable.
Right. You're right. I mean, it's different.
Right.
Because when we're setting, we usually work on the truck.
A lot of our trucks have been done during those times,
or at shippers and receivers.
Exactly. We always have something going on, and that's our psychotherapy, though. That kind of keeps us sane. So if she gets in a bad mood, son, I'm telling you, that truck is little.
Oh man.
Up in the back of the trailer, so he has to go back there.
And I head for it when she's in a bad mood.
So, maintaining good relationships with brokers. What's that? What's some keys there? Some points that you maybe want to pass on about maintaining those relationships. What's important there?
Letting them know what we've got. I mean, because
our equipment,
and they know that we're reliable. They know that we're going to be on time or early.
That is so important to us. We hear people every day, "Oh, I'm 2 days late. I don't care." Oh, we would be insane if we done that. In the 10 years coming of hauling freight, I only remember one time we was late and we were stuck in an ice storm.
Yeah.
So
in Dallas.
We called them and we made arrangements around it. So technically, I guess we wasn't late, but to us, we was. But, you need to plan your route and know if they come up with a load that's 1,000 mile away and they want it there tomorrow, you need to let them know, this is not an airplane.
The brokers are not truck drivers. They don't know. Right. They just book the loads.
Yeah, and they don't take that into consideration.
No, we try to get to know our brokers, and that way they know what we can do, and they know we're going to be on time and get their product there safely as best we can.
And it's a good feeling for a broker. You call them, and say, "Oh, I'm glad to hear from you. I got just the stuff that you're looking." Because that's what the relationship we want with them. We want to. We're not going to do it the cheapest.
And when we go to truck shows, we always encourage them because most of them's at the truck shows.
A lot of them are.
They go to Matt's because they like JV Hunt and CHR and them and Uber. They all we invite them out to the truck to come and look inside the truck and see what we got.
A relationship.
Yeah.
Because if they're comfortable with us and we can be comfortable with them, it really saves a lot of confusion and. But it's a two-way street. You got to do what they expect you to do. I mean, even though we're independent, we're 100% independent. So we do use various companies, various load boards, but every single load, regardless of who owns that load, we try to treat that load like it's our own product, like it's our own customer that we're selling it to. And it makes your attitude makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Number one is our missionary work. In God we trust. We put out Bibles. He may take them at once, but we're going to display the very best attitude. But we're going to show them the best example we can of how to treat people decently.
I think you guys have been an absolute pleasure to talk to, and thank you for spending a little bit of time with us today on this podcast, Daniel and Phyllis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. That's another episode of the Successful Driver Podcast. We appreciate you listening. We'll catch you later.